Hello guys, how are you all? Welcome to my channel. So, today we are gonna see, what if Naruto has the Kaguya's bloodline, part 1, subscribe if you enjoy the video, let's start the story. Konoha, village hidden in the leaves. Hokage office. Minato Namikaze was not an idiot, while his predecessor went insane with the bane of all cage duties. Paperwork, he was silently drinking his tea while watching the village, not giving a damn to the mountain of paperworks behind him. He wasn't going to burn the paperwork, of course, he couldn't even if he wanted to. The damn things were fireproof. No, he used the nickname Hokage's most versatile, the Cage Bunshin no. With those creatures from hell contained by his clones, he was free to do anything. Well, as long as the clones didn't rebel, that is, although they were plotting it right now. Minato had known, but gave them none of his attention, for his mind was elsewhere. Right now, he was thinking about his father and mother. While he knew about his mother's death, he never knew of the final fate of his father. It has been 2 years since his last message, maybe he is truly dead, Minato thought. Flashback, 24 years ago. Tusan. Look. I did it. A young Minato yelled out cheerfully, while his father smiled at him full of pride. You are going to be a powerful shinobi like your old man, Minato. Minato's father said while ruffling the boy's hair. He had just taught him how to climb a tree by using chakra. Minato smiled, hearing his father's praise. After all, it's not every day he saw those lips curved upwards or those black eyes getting soft. His father has black eyes, a strong jawline, and spiky black hair reaching his waist with bangs, covering most of his right eye, though it's unable to hide the creases he had since he was a boy. The air around him carried a tone of arrogance and promise of death. Minato didn't inherit any physical features from the man, but he did get his chakra nature, his touch of arrogance, and in the immediate future, his techniques. By the description alone, anyone who lived in Konoha should have known him. This man is the co-founder of Konohagakure no Seido, Madara Uchiha. Although it is understandable if people didn't recognize him. Not even his former best friend, Hashirama Senju, saw this particular part of the Uchiha. Everyone thought that like the rest of the Uchiha clan, Madara pursued power at all cost. They couldn't be more wrong. While it was true that the Uchiha clan is a clan that favors power, in actuality they love their kin so much that they pursue power to protect them. Right now Madara was in the Land of Waves, a country located between Land of Whirlpool and Land of Fire, living with his wife Hitomi. Hitomi hailed from the Namikaze clan. The Namikaze clan was a little clan with a knack for sealing like the Uzumaki clan, though they didn't have the strong life force or the chakra chains like they did. However, they're just as talented as the Uzumaki clan, whose level ninja were capable of using seals with just their hands, thanks to their bloodline. Yes, they do have their own, in fact, they have two. Magnet release and swift release. Though they don't have the same affinity for magnet release like the third Kazukiage, who is capable of creating and using iron sand, they cleverly use magnet release to draw the seals. And use lightning chakra to activate them. This technique is very useful for a beginner or intermediate sealer from the Namikaze clan. What made the clan famous, however, is their speed that rivals even the likes of Raikage's, thanks to their swift release. They use swift release to boost their shunshin not to beat even the speed of sound, and at the same time activating all organ function to the max, providing them the reflex and sensory capacity needed to use the technique. Hitomi herself never awakened the magnet release, preventing her from using her sealing to its full potential. In exchange for her diminished use of seals, she was very proficient in swift release, making her the fastest messenger and the best assassin in the world. How did they meet? She had found Madara after his battle with Hashirama. She was acting as a messenger from Yuzashigakure to Konoha. She had felt an incredible surge of energy in the spot which later would be known as Valley of the End, and when she got there, she had found Madara with a hole in his chest. Taking a possible rogue ninja who had capability to change the landscape wasn't the best decision in her life, but she just can't ignore a man lying there bleeding half to death. Hitomi, despite being an assassin, values human life, as it was the first thing that she learned from the Uzumaki family that took care of her. Minus 38 years before the present time, Land of Waves. Oh my head, where am I? Madara groaned as he slowly opened his eyes. He immediately felt the pain in his chest. Looking around, he found out he was in a small wooden house, not much furniture, but the walls were full of seals. Wow, the owner must be very paranoid, or an Uzumaki. Madara thought. He tried getting up, but a warm hand touched his shoulder. Easy there champ, you got wounded pretty badly. I spent hours stitching that hole in your chest, so don't go and ruin them, okay? A soft but demanding voice said. He turned around and well, let's just say he wasn't disappointed. It was a woman, a very beautiful woman with silky smooth blonde hair almost reaching her waist and baby blue eyes that complemented her cute oval face. She was wearing light armor with a Namikaze clan crest, a stylized blue swirling orbs on the chest, which by the way, from the look of it was a C-cup in size, and an Yuzushi Agakure forehead protector. She didn't carry the same lethal aura as the shinobi of this era, but Madara knew better than to lower his guard. The crest of Namikaze proved her identity. "Who are you, and where am I?" asked Madara, a bit suspicious because he knew that both the Uzumaki and Senju clans are loyal to one another. "My name is Hitomi Namikaze of Yuzushi Agakure, and right now we are in between the borders of Whirlpool and the Land of Fire, commonly known as the Land of Waves," Hitomi said. Hitomi Namikaze? The one who assassinated the last leader of the Hagoromo clan while she was barely 15. Thought Madara, intrigued by the fateful decision surrounding his life. "What happened? How did I get here?" asked Madara in a demanding tone. Are an impatient bunch after all. Makes you wonder how the prodigal Sasori got this trait, isn't it P? Geez, you're asking way too many questions, just lie down and relax already, okay? You were injured in your last battle and barely made it. You're lucky that I found you still breathing and was able to heal you. She explained to him, there were times I didn't think you would pull through. After all, not many people could survive getting a sword run through their chest and live to tell the tale. Now then, how about you tell me who you are? She asked, knowing with that crest on his back, he must be quite the powerful fellow. Madara Uchiha, former leader of the Uchiha clan and co-founder of Konohagakure no Sado, said Madara with pride, despite how he felt for his former clan and village. They are the strongest, and it made him prideful. My, aren't we a bit full of ourselves? Hitomi teased the second strongest man in the world before she burst out into laughter, not even bothering to hide it from him. Madara just glared at her and muttered something about troublesome blondes and what a drag they can be. Let's just say that Madara has a rather rich ancestry. Although I wonder why you two fight, last time I checked both of you were best friends. Hitomi said, Madara's eyes widened a little. How did you know that? Madara demanded an answer, his Sharingan blazing. It was a secret known only by his deceased family and the Senju brothers. Well, there's a mountain-sized wood statue, for example. Also I am a messenger from Uzushio to Konoha and I happen to be a good friend of Mito Uzumaki. Seeing Madara hadn't deactivated his Sharingan, she continued, waving her hands dismissively, oh relax, I won't turn you in. If you want to hide, I'll hide you, but right now just focus on healing yourself. Madara nodded, though his Sharingan remained active, the Namikaze in front of him wasn't known as Death Wind for nothing. I'm going to go to the grocery and then cook you something. Do you want anything in particular, Uchiha-san? Asked Hitomi, trying to defuse the tension. Deafening silence followed until Madara replied anything is fine. Hitomi nodded before she left to buy some groceries, leaving him alone with his own thoughts. Madara lay on his back in the bed, his teeth gritting when he remembered his loss to Hashirama, but then he remembered something and started to chuckle darkly as he remembered that he had gotten what he wanted, a piece of the god of Shinobi's power. 9 years later, 29 years before present time. Madara was working on a farm, which is a very strange sight for every single ninja in the world. If 5 years ago you asked the great Uchiha what a hoe was, he would have said that it was an improvised weapon. Now he knows everything there is to know about farming, mainly by learning from other farmers. His Sharingan wasn't exactly very useful here. Maybe this is the peace I was seeking though. Madara, the last 9 years were simply the best years of his life. The hole in his heart, the one that keeps him hurt, was filled. No more politics, no more clan problems, no more revenge crap, not even Eye of the Moon plan. Best that tablet only speaks for the Uchiha clan as a whole. Too, Madara mused as he watched the clear sky above him. For the first time since his meetings with Hashirama at the river, he found something worth being called happiness. Speaking of Hashirama, he received word that his rival died a year ago. Apparently their battle left him weakened. Though Hashirama wasn't the only one that left weakened by the battle that created a valley, Madara didn't go to the first great shinobi war like Hashirama did. He didn't fight 3,000 ninjas, among the enemy being Kakuzu of Takigakure, and make it back alive to tell the tale. It hurt his pride, but he had to admit Hashirama was better than him. He heard someone calling his name and turned around, seeing Hitomi waving her hands at him. They were married now. 9 years had been more than enough time to melt Madara's cold heart. 2 years after their first encounter, Hitomi had resigned from her shinobi career. She was tired of all the killing and had wanted to live a simple life here in Wave Country, becoming a farmer. Himself, not knowing what to do, his Rinnegan hadn't surfaced yet, nor did he have good control with wood release, not when there was a troublesome blonde around. Decided to help her on the farm. But not before pulling the I'm saving your ass card in order to persuade Madara to help her. During the day they were working together on the farm, and during the night they would rest under the stars, sharing many things. Hitomi mostly talked about her day-to-day routine, but once in a while she would share her past as an orphan and how she found out about her clan. Madara himself preferred listening, not one to open his heart easily. But Namikaze was well known for their ability to open one's heart, and Hitomi wasn't an exception. It took a long time, but after 2 years Madara finally cracked and told her everything, his childhood, his little brother, and his friendship with Hashirama. As Madara waved back at her he found his lips already touching hers. Damn the Namikaze and their swift release, thought Madara, but he wasn't actually complaining, enjoying the alternative use of his wife's skill. Seeing his wife giggling, he only chuckled. Who would have thought that the Madara Uchiha and the last of Namikaze would marry each other and live a simple civilian life, he mused as he wrapped his arms around her body and leaned to capture his wife's eager lips. How ironic was it? The great Uchiha always thought that ninja were supposed to die on the battlefield in the hands of the enemy who was stronger than themselves, but now he found himself actually longing for a simple civilian life he used to frown upon. Suddenly Hitomi stopped their activity and said, "Madara, I'm pregnant." Madara's eyes widened, a joyful smile appeared on his face, and Hitomi found herself spinning around. "Hey now, if I'm going to cook you something, I need my head, you're making me dizzy," she said in her best angry voice, although her expression betrayed them. Madara stopped and quickly kissed her again. In his mind, he steeled his resolve. If this is what it takes to make her happy, I will forget about my plans and focus on the future. I'll do anything for you, Hitomi. Minus 24 years before the current time, Land of Waves. 5 years have passed, and now we could see a happy Madara leaning against a tree with Hitomi on his chest. Hitomi had a slight bulge in her stomach, pregnant with their second child. Both glanced at the sea, seeing a 4-year-old kid standing on the water. He had spiky blonde hair and the bluest eyes anyone had ever seen. His name was Minato Namikaze, son of Madara Uchiha and Hitomi Namikaze. Seeing their son's success in standing on the water training, both parents felt a burst of pride, feeling happy about having a wonderfully talented child and that they were going to have another one. Although both Madara and Hitomi had abandoned their shinobi ways, they decided to train young Minato so he can defend himself should he need it. They also explained to him that they decided to give him his mother's name because the only Uchiha ever to be exiled was Madara himself. It will be troublesome because the Uchiha will be looking for you. Blonde and Sharingan aren't exactly a common combination, he told his son. Unknown to his wife, he had actually trained his son in awakening the Sharingan by accidentally putting him in a live or death situation, a tree walking lesson gone bad. If she knew, let's just say that Madara wouldn't be dead, but losing something even more precious than his eyes. After all, while he is strong, she is very swift with her knife. After seeing his blood-red eyes, Madara told him about his clan and said to Minato to be proud of his heritage. A few weeks later. Land of Waves Market. The day is not a good day for Madara. The combination of mood swings and food craving made Hitomi an even more dangerous opponent than Hashirama. She was more than capable of making him feel anger, pain, and fear at the same time. So he had to buy every food ingredient available and cook everything she likes or fear the retribution. Suddenly he felt a burst of chakra from his house, the signature unmistakably his son's. It was so unstable that it made him remember the time Izuna unlocked Manjikam Sharingan. Fearing something might have happened to Hitomi, he rushed through the woods to his home, only to find Hitomi stabbed with a ninja, Minato with a Manjikam Sharingan, and 6 Iwa shinobi. Mother. Minato turned his eyes to the Iwa shinobi who threw the ninja, his eyes full of rage, promising death to the one who hurt his mother. Minato's right eye cried blood, and instantly the offending Iwa shinobi found themselves burned by black flames, but Minato then collapsed from chakra exhaustion, not used to handling the chakra-taxing technique. Before any of the enemy ninja could lay their hands on Minato, however, they found their sword broken and saw Madara with kunai in his right hand. One of the Iwa shinobi yelled at him, "Who the fuck are you fucking little shit." Clearly one of the younger generations, then he gulped when he felt the killing intent Madara projected towards them. Madara's eyes turned into blood-red eyes with 3. The leader of the group smiled, seeing the red orbs. Looks like the informant was right, boys, Madara does live in this place. His smile widened, becoming more repulsive every second. Don't worry, we won't kill you. We will bring you to Tsuchikage-sama and let him kill you himself, but I'm going to take my sweet time killing that little shit for what he'd done to one of my boys, said the enemy. As he created a cone structure between his hands. This man is capable of doing the Jinten, dust release, he must be Mu's son, since he only taught Jinten to his son, and that brat Inoki. Though Madara analyzed the situation. So you're Mu's son, huh? I will kill you, and then I will give him your head when I kill him. Madara said menacingly, making Mu's son gritting his teeth from both fear and anger. Before he was able to fire his Jinten technique, he found himself with the lower half of his body, which was then completely evaporated by Madara's combination of Susanoo and Amaterasu, his last vision being Madara's Manjikam Sharingan glowing bright red. After the gruesome display, the remaining Iwa shinobi ran for their lives, only for Madara to use Yusaka Magatama and blast the poor bastards, not even leaving a bone in its wake. Not even sparing a glance, he turned to Minato, inspecting his son's condition. After deducing that his son was not in mortal danger, he slowly approached his lover. He looked at her, and his heart filled with remorse for not being there, not being able to protect the one person that mattered the most in his world, the love of his life. Suddenly Hitomi opened her eyes, coughing several times, making Madara hopeful for a second. However, he saw her eyes, and he knew that she did not have long before she would pass from this world. Trembling, Hitomi reached for his hand and held it. "Sorry Madara, for not being able to be with you for the rest of your life, I'm sorry that I have to die first," Hitomi said with her eyes full of tears. With her remaining chakra, she unsealed a scroll from her storage seal on her wrist and gave it to Madara. She said, "I haven't taught him anything about my clan's Fuinjutsu or Kekkei Genkai." She started to cough badly. "Please teach these to him." She gave him a weak smile before she continued, "Take care of our son, Madara," Hitomi said weakly as she gave one last kiss to her husband. Then she closed her eyes for the last time. Madara just stood there frozen, looking at his now dead wife. In his mind, he was getting flashes of the last 14 years of his life. He had finally found happiness, only to have it ripped from his grasp. Madara's eyes slowly changed its color, from obsidian black to blood red, with 3 tomatoes surrounding the pupil, to 3 large tomatoes with circles at their tops, overlapping each other at the bottoms, and straight line between them. In a fit of rage, Madara used Amaterasu on his surrounding. His mind had shattered, and he roared his displeasure to the world. What is this? This feeling I never felt before. This can't be real. This must be a bad dream. Yes, this is not my reality," Madara thought. Suddenly he stopped, a realization hit him as he looked at Hitomi one last time. Then he made a decision that would influence the entire world. "I was too naive to think this would last, too naive in believing that everything is going to be fine, too naive to leave my plans behind. This world will never change, this reality is worthless." Madara's gaze grows cold. He sealed Hitomi's body in a stasis seal, so her body should be still in good condition when he buried her later. At the moment he had only one priority: his son. "I will create a world where you will stand by my side, Hitomi. A world where you had never died, a world full of love and peace, where everyone can be the winner, where no child has to kill another child and then have their father take revenge on their son's death. I don't care anymore. All I want is you." Madara thought as he picked up his son and jumped into the woods, leaving behind his former home burning with black flames. Unknown to everyone, even to him, he had fallen again to the curse of his clan, the curse of hatred. 2 months later. Madara and Minato were standing a few miles outside the main gates of Konoha. Madara looked at Minato for the last time. "Minato, my son," said Madara, getting Minato's attention. In the last 2 months Madara trained Minato in the same way his father used to train him, hell-bent on getting his son as strong as possible so he could keep himself safe. During this month of training, though Minato hadn't activated his mother's bloodlines, he had mastered, technically, 2 of Manjukam Sharingan ability, Amaterasu and Enten, Blaze Release, a feat never happened in history of the Uchiha clan. Susanoo was not Minato's forte, however, despite already mastering both eyes. "Remember, keep the Uchiha heritage and bloodline a secret from the village, but never forget your legacy. Even though I dislike the Senju, this village will keep you safe. Never abandon your beliefs and fight for what you hold dear. Only when fighting to protect someone precious or for pride will one show his true strength," he told his son. "I am sorry to leave you, my son, but this is something I must do alone. Speak to the Senju and tell him you are an orphan and wish to join Konoha. He will keep you safe. We may never meet Minato again, and even if we do, we may have to fight each other. Until then, good luck," Madara said as he started to walk away, leaving his son on a new path. Tusan, Minato yelled at his father. "I don't understand anything you said before. Why might we fight if we meet again, or what are you doing?" Minato takes a deep breath, holding his tears. "But if Kasan can be brought back, will we go back home?" Madara stopped, turned back to Minato, who stared at him with his innocent eyes. Those eyes that never failed to destroy his facade, those light blue eyes he inherited from Hitomi. In a flash Minato found himself in his father's embrace, feeling his hair wet from Madara's uncontained tears. "Yes, we all can go back home. If this work, we can go back to our days skipping stones, eating your mom's dishes, you might even meet your uncle and your grandmother." Madara stopped for a while. "Until that time, live your life to the fullest, Minato." Present day. Suddenly Minato awakened from his trip to memory lane by a knock on the door. Quickly dispelling his clones, he opened the door and saw an Anbu wearing a horse mask, said, "Sir, it's time." Despite being nervous, Minato managed to maintain a calm demeanor, a trait he received from his father. Nodding silently, he teleported himself and the Anbu to the location. A few hours later. A scream and cry echoed through the room. No, this is not T&I department. This was an undisclosed location outside the village, a place for his wife Kushina to give birth to their first child. Naruto. Naruto was a carbon copy of his father. He weighed in at 3 kilograms, had spiky blonde hair, and a pair of dark blue eyes. Congratulations Kushina-chan, he's a healthy baby boy, said Bawako. Bawako was 175 centimeters tall with long light brown hair tied in a ponytail with brown eyes. She was also the Sandaime Hokage's wife. She handed the mother the newborn baby. The mother, Kushina, is a red-headed beauty, a trait common to Uzumaki, with long smooth crimson red hair going all the way to her waist, blue eyes, and ample D-cup breasts adorn her well-developed body. She embraced her son for the first time. "Hello Sachi," she said with tears flowing from her eyes, and her husband finished her words with a smile. "Welcome to our family, Naruto. Rest Kushina, you will have plenty of time after the baby is cleaned," Bawako said as she picked up Naruto for his first bath. "How are you feeling Kushina?" Minato asked, concerned for his loving wife. "I'm okay," she replied. "Thank you." Minato was thankful that Naruto's delivery went smoothly. It was a full moon and it was the worst timing for a female to deliver a baby. Minato said Kushina, but she was cut off by her husband. "Alright, I know you have just gone through childbirth, but since tonight is a full moon and you're weakened, I have to strengthen the seal on the 9 tails completely." Suddenly a scream echoed through the room, turning around. Minato saw to his horror both Bawako and Taji, the nurse, slumped and by the looks of it, dead, while Naruto himself was being held by a masked man. "Fourth Hokage Minato Namikaze, step away from this or this child will die after its first minute of life," the masked man said as he held Naruto hostage with his hand hovering dangerously on Naruto's face. While Minato is thinking about the masked man entering the barrier, the person pulls out a kunai from his sleeve. "Get away from them, don't you care about what happens to your child?" "Okay, just calm down," Minato said frightened, fear was evident in his eyes. "Speak for yourself Yondaime." "I am perfectly calm," the masked man said as he threw Naruto in the air preparing to stab Naruto with the kunai. Suddenly in a yellow flash Minato grabbed Naruto. The masked man said, "As I expected from the yellow flash, I wonder how you'll handle the next one." The masked man made a half-tiger seal and a buzzing sound was heard as Minato realized 5 explosive tags placed in the blanket around Naruto. In a burst of speed Minato teleported himself to one of his hideouts, removing the blanket and went outside to get away from the explosion. That man is no ordinary shinobi, Minato thought, wondering just who the masked man was as he dug out a piece of wood that stuck his calf. "He managed to separate me from Kushina." Then Minato teleported again to his house and put his son in bed while whispering, "You'll be safe here. Naruto, wait here for a while, I'm going to save your mother." Undisclosed location. Outside of Konoha. The masked man approached Kushina and warped her away to the outside of the cave. Placing his hand on her stomach he begins extracting Kyuubi. In a couple of minutes a figure is seen erupting from her stomach and materializing in the air. There stood the 9-tailed demon fox in all its glory with 9 tails swinging. With a single glance the masked man traps Kyuubi under its control. The once red slitted eyes of Kyuubi are now red with 3 black, the Sharingan glowing like a bad omen. "Wait!" yelled a weakened Kushina realizing what was about to happen. "Incredible. The Uzumaki clan is simply incredible. Not even extracting a tailed beast from you is enough to kill you," the masked man said. He then commanded Kyuubi to kill his former master. "But it's only fitting that Kyuubi kills its former container after all," he said. As Kyuubi is about to crush Kushina, yellow flash reappears on a tree not far from there, holding Kushina in his arms bridal style before teleporting again. "He really lives up to his name, Minato Namikaze. Konoha's yellow flash," he said before warping to the edge of the village. Minato's house. Minato flashed to his house, laying Kushina near her son as she embraced him. "Kushina, I'm going to have to stop Kyuubi's attack, take care of our son." He had worn his Hokage Heiori and in a yellow flash he was gone. Scene, Konoha from outside. It was a warm calm summer night in the hidden village of the Leaf. Lights were seen all around the village as the people followed their lives unaware of what was about to happen, except for a few individuals. The Uchiha clan's compound. The little boy is busy pulling his baby brother to sleep when he feels a dark aura from the direction to the north of the village. What is this feeling? Itachi asked himself when suddenly his brother, Sasuke, had awakened and started to cry uncontrollably. There, don't cry Sasuke, no matter what happens, your big brother will definitely protect you," said Itachi while thinking what a strange feeling and of all time Tusan and Kasan choose this time to be out. Sarutobi clan's compound. Here is in Sarutobi, Sandaime Hokage was busy with paperwork when suddenly he felt an ominous aura that told him one thing. No, it can't be. North entrance of Konoha. Kuchiyus no Jutsu. The masked man said, slapping his palm on the ground, and in a burst of smoke there stood Kyuubi roaring, ready to unleash its fury upon the unsuspecting village. Go, Kyuubi. He ordered, and with those words Kyuubi started its destruction. Swinging its tails and using its hands destroy everything that stood in his way. Sandaime, Kyuubi has appeared in the north part of the village, and Anbu said, as he bowed to the Sandaime Hokage. Yes, I am well aware of it. I will try to suppress it, you and others will start to evacuate the civilians. Sandaime said. Has Kushina's seal been broken? Despite all of our precautions, did we fail? Sandaime thought before realizing something bewacko. Meanwhile, Kyuubi was busy trashing the village when he sensed a person on top of Hokage Mountain and started charging. On top of the Hokage Monument. Minato Namikaze is seen standing on the top of the Hokage Monument. He was ready to go face Kyuubi, then he saw it. Kyuubi was charging quickly he went through hand seals and said. Oration. DMRAI Flying Thunder God. Guiding thunder, the Dama was suddenly sucked into the barrier space before it hit his carved face. Minato teleported the Dama into one of his farthest safe houses, still the explosion can be heard and seen to the villagers. Minato then felt a presence behind him. Quickly ducking and turning around he swings his kunai only to phase through the head of his enemy before the enemy catches his hands. Suddenly everything becomes distorted as the masked man starts to absorb Minato in a ripple-like pattern, but before it's finished, Minato disappears using his. He flashed away to his destroyed safe house. Minato's destroyed safe house. That man and that technique he used. Minato thought it's a Jikiken ninjutsu, space-time technique, even more versatile than my own. It doesn't even require hand seals, but the way the technique activated felt familiar, like I had read about it before. Suddenly the realization hit Minato that technique. Kamui. It means that the masked man is in or someone with eyes. I have to tell Sandaime-sama about this. Suddenly a figure starts to appear just a few meters away from Minato. There stood the masked man with chains, prepared to face the legendary Kairoi Senkin, Yellow Flash. The men stared at each other, each one daring the other to make the first move. Who are you? Minato asked, as he wondered who could possibly have the power to not only unleash, but also control Kyuubi. My name is long forgotten and despised in the history of this village. I was once known as Madara Uchiha, but that name is not appropriate anymore since I'm a mere shadow of my former self. He replied, chuckling, thinking how idiotic the Yondaime Hokage was for asking a masked man his identity. The smile crept to the young Hokage's face before he replied, maybe you're Madara Uchiha, but you're not the Madara Uchiha. I know what his chakra felt like, and yours are not even half of it. Although, your chakra does have some similarities to his. The masked man's single eye widened for a second before going back to its usual stoic one, wondering how in the world could the Yondaime know that he wasn't Madara. Something here isn't right, how can he know Madara's chakra signature? Has Yondaime met Madara before? Impossible, he lived in a cave for Kami's sake. Tobi thought, oh if only he knew. Both warriors, wielders of ninjutsu, dashed at each other in a battle of speed. The fastest would win. Minato simply throws his Hirishin, Flying Thunder God technique, kunai at Tobi, as it's phased through his head. Getting closer to each other, preparing for the face-off, Minato charges a Rasengan in his right hand, preparing to slam it into Tobi's mask. Tobi was about to touch Minato, a simple preparation to absorb him. Victory is mine. He said, but suddenly Minato disappears from his sight only to appear behind his back using the kunai he previously threw. Minato twists his body slamming into Tobi, destroying the area and marking Tobi with Hirishin seal while saying Hirishin, level 2. Tobi got back up and jumped onto a rock. I underestimated him. Tobi thought as white fluid came out of his wound. Suddenly Minato appears in front of him stabbing him with a kunai and applying a contract seal to free Kyuubi. The enraged Tobi uppercut Yondaime, who managed to shield his face with his hands, but still the strength of the stranger still pushed him away several feet. Tobi, seeing that he lost this battle, says I will be back and then I will get my revenge on the Leaf Village. As he warped away. Something tells me he wasn't joking, but still what a bastard, using my father's name like Minato thought as he got up and teleported to the battlefield. Battlefield. The northern part of the village. On the battlefield stood the Sandaime leading the forces trying his best to push Kyuubi away from the village when suddenly he heard. Kuchiyus no Jutsu, Minato said, as he dropped on top of Kyuubi with his summon Gamabunta, the toad boss, who had pinned Kyuubi to the ground. Try to hold him down, as long as you can. Teleporting something this big requires preparation. Minato said to the toad boss, as Minato prepared to teleport Kyuubi away from the village. Are you crazy? I am not a miracle worker. Gamabunta said. Hurry. Suddenly both Minato and Kyuubi disappear. Near the safe house. Minato arrived near the safe house with Kyuubi, teleporting huge things draining a large chunk of his chakra reserve, which despite being Kage, was still small compared to the likes of past Hokages. Minato, I can still feel that damn Uchiha inside my head. You have to seal me back to Kushina, I refuse to be enslaved by a damn Uchiha. Kyuubi said much to Minato's surprise. What? I thought I had nullified the contract. Minato thought as he teleported to the safe house picking up Kushina and Naruto for the ritual. Kushina, I need your help to restrain him. He's still being pushed. Minato says as Kushina gathers the remainder of her chakra to form chains to snare Kyuubi to the ground. What are you trying to do? Asked Kushina. I'm going to seal him inside our son. Minato replied while performing a long set of hand seals. At the end of the hand seals he shouts Shiki Fujin. Ed demon consuming seal, behind him appeared a ghostly figure wearing white garb, its face looks like a demon complete with two horns sticking out of its hair. Minato, what are you doing? Stop. Kushina screamed at what she heard, a terrifying technique that ensured eternal damnation for both the sealer and the seal. I have to Kushina, only his energy can completely seal it being as powerful as Kyuubi. Minato was already panting at this point, his chakra reserve depleted again. No, just let me reseal the fox within me, the should die along with the Kushina tried to reason with Minato, she was too late however, as Minato already made up his mind. No, it will be temporary at best, and when Kyuubi reborn he will be enslaved again, and at that time Konoha would be destroyed. Minato explained, but Kushina wouldn't hear it. Are you listening to yourself, Minato? You're condemning our son to a life of a. Kushina had wanted to scream, but pain and fatigue from holding back was beginning to tire her. No, I'm believing in my son, in our son. Minato said it firmly, with no room for doubt in his tone. Kushina still wanted to argue, but suddenly she felt Kyuubi yank one of the chains. She was already tired by erecting a barrier, and the only reason why Kyuubi didn't move was by his own willpower not to obey the masked man's command, unfortunately he was too strong. And in no time he regained control of the fox. Minato, get out of the way. Kyuubi shouts as he feels his body moving by itself to kill his next, his gigantic claw ready to pierce baby Naruto's body. However, instead of obeying his order both Minato and Kushina had jumped in front of his claw protecting their son. Kyuubi was shocked seeing what transpired before him. His claw was a mere inch from Naruto's body, threatening to pierce his soft stomach. But it never happened, his claw was stopped in its tracks. Not by flashy, powerful techniques like Susanoo or Mokuton, Hate no Jutsu, no, it was stopped with nothing but two human bodies. Why? Minato asked, his voice full of pain. Why did you do this? I'm his father, I should have been the one sacrificing myself to save my son, my life is already forfeited anyway. Minato said. Kushina felt like bonking his head, but since she's too weak right now she just answered, I'm his mother, I have as much of a right as you do. Minato only sighed since he had never once won an argument with his redhead wife. Kushina, cough, we don't have much time. Any last words? Naruto started, her voice strained. I want you to grow into a nice young man and a strong shinobi. Remember to bathe every day and go to bed early. Keep up with your studies and practice your ninjutsu hard. Everyone has strengths and weaknesses, so don't get too depressed if you can't do something well. Also, I want you to make friends, you don't need that many, only a few, as long as they are true friends. No drinking until you're at least 20 and stay away from Jiraiya. Slowly Kushina turned his head and said, I am sorry Minato, I took your time. It's alright, replied Minato before turning his head to Kyuubi. Kyuubi, can you look out for my son? I know he will have a hard time being your friend. He asked. It would be my honor. I will take care of your son, Kyuubi replied. His respect for the couple increased even more since he knew that even his creator would have a hard time making this decision. Damn, Minato thought. I need to make sure he knows of my father's legacy. I can't let him go to the Uchihas, not with what just happened, not with Kyuubi and him, the Uchiha might use him to gain power, but I never told anyone. And it's too late to so now he starts thinking when suddenly an idea struck his head, maybe this will work. Slowly Minato gathers what was left of his chakra and pushes it to his eyes, slowly the blue eyes turn into red with tomatoes, before changing into his Mangekyo shape, a lotus-shaped red lines on top of black background. He says in a weak tone, the Uchiha clan's third, Amanamenakanashi. Slowly, his left eye turned white and he felt his chakra level drop significantly. He knew it would be a matter of time before he lost his life and he hurried himself to say his parting words. Naruto, listen to what your motormouth mother said, grow up to be a strong and brave shinobi. Damn it, I'm losing my consciousness. Minato tried to form the seal, but found his own hands freezing, like he's in a rigor mortis after coming this far. Am I going to fail? Minato stubbornly tried to move his fingers, but they wouldn't budge. Then he heard a voice from the past. Only when fighting to protect someone precious or for pride will one show his true strength. At this point he almost cried, as he remembered every person he failed to protect. I can't protect mom, my subordinates, Bawako, Kushina, or Naruto. I know I'm not worthy of my true strength, but still an image of his father's back entered his mind, on it a symbol he knew too well, renewing his conviction, I haven't abandoned my pride. Minato formed the seal, his right eye faintly glowing. But the last of his chakra, the fourth Hokage, let out his final scream, Haki Fuin Shiki 8 trigram sealing style. Inside Naruto's seal. These chakras, boy, I believe your father just put me in the best vessel possible, Kyuubi thought, grinning, as he sensed 2 chakra signatures from his brothers. Thanks for watching my video. See you next time, till then sayonara.